We are talking two things here. Whether international labor should be bidding on private contracts in the Caribbean or just on government contracts, and how much labor they should bring in to do these contracts. Is that fair to say?
Brian, we have no difficulty with any international company bidding for contracts that, okay, take for instance, take for instance, a few years ago you had the Chinese bid on the World Bank project, which was the building of the Ministry of Education, the administrative building in the Botanical Gardens. We had no problem with that because the Chinese, they are a member of the CDB. Okay. So if the contract is awarded to the Chinese to build a particular project, it cannot be a problem because we have no problem with that because it is a must, because you have the World Bank would have ended up honoring that sort of bid. Yeah, yeah. So we have no problem with that. But the problem we have is when you want to take away the bread and butter from the persons in the construction industry. And you see, it would only start there, but it would not end there. Okay. Other jobs would be at stake later on.
I would like to make a comment there, if I may. And you see, Mrs. Harford has mentioned the bread and butter of our workers. Right. This, Mrs. Harford, is not about bread and butter. This is about steak and champagne and caviar, and the workers are not invited to the table. This is not about the cost of labor rates. This has nothing to do with this. This has to do with pricing that does not make sense to my quantity surveyors. This has to do with, pricing that is off the wall. The basic costs on things like foundations and walls, there was no difficulty with. It is the finishings that we had, we came unstuck with, and the pricing went out the door. Now, there are a couple of little things I want to mention with regard to international workers. The airport, those of us that remember the airport, the Cubans did it. We thought, oh my God, they're working in the dust, they're incredible, they're animals, how can they do that? But what happened with the Grenadians that work there, some of them are contractors today. They learn and acquired skills. Right. The Chinese are not stronger than us. The Chinese perhaps work smarter than us. And I feel that the Grenadians who work along with the Chinese will learn new skills. There will be a technology transfer. And I do believe that societies that open up and bring in and interact with other countries, in fact, gain from the experience. Another thing I want to make, the point here is that we are not talking about lost jobs here in Grenada. Perhaps not a full contingent will be employed down at Grand Harbour in a job that may last 24 months is what the local contractor has told us. The international contractor has told us he will deliver it in 16 to 18 months. Now, we're going to have 100 Grenadians working down there for 16 months, 18 months.
Are they working on a subcontract or are they working with a major Chinese contractor?
My understanding is they're working with a major Chinese contractor. There will be some subcontracting.
Have they started to hire already?
No, not to the best of my knowledge.
But there'll be a process to do that.
There will be a process. Okay. I'm not involved in the process. I have a developer, Terraformer. They will handle that. Okay. Okay. Now, the thing I want to make the point here is that my business right now is to create employment for Grenadians, to create 350 odd jobs 18 months from now when Grand Harbour opens. The people who are being sold this project speak English, not Chinese. The people who will serve them, the people who will work as managers, as chefs, all Grenadians. Let's not look at the short term. Yeah, let's look 2 years, long after we are all dead, we have permanent jobs, quality jobs at Grand Harbour. That's what I want to do.
I am glad you raised that because I was seeing in your press release that 300 jobs would be created for Grenadians. You know, a lot of developers and investors say these things. They throw some numbers out. Is it time that we should be setting some sanctions? If you do not deliver those 300 jobs, then what happens? Because a lot of people throw this thing out here. We're going to create 100 jobs, we're going to create 300 jobs.
No. Let me say to you on that one, Brian, that we are talking about 12 townhouses, 14 three-bedroom apartments, 28 two-bedroom apartments, a full resort, restaurant, pool, bar, day spa, gym.
All that is true,
because we need to transport people.
But the reality of...
And there's some industry standards. We're talking here about 138 beds. And there's some industry standards of about 2.5, I believe. I'm not an expert on that. So given that...
The reality is, and I think we're looking at international labor in the construction industry bidding for government jobs and bidding for private sector jobs. if they are going to bid for private sector jobs, if I am a member of the private sector, I'm looking for the least expensive way to do what I have to do at that standard. If the Chinese can provide it...
International workers, please.
International workers. Okay. My apologies, sir. Then I will go with that contractor.
That is a basic, fundamental, obvious
one of the major things that have been talked about in this whole issue is a level playing field. Is the playing field level now for international workers, international contractors, and local contractors? Is the playing field level? Do you think the playing field is level?
I cannot answer that. I know that Volker Steven is here and they're working, they're international, they have, I'm sure the playing field is level for them. With regard to Sojikoa, which is the company, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, that has been contracted by us, I will have to assume that for the most part, the playing field will be level, for the most part. I am not gaining benefit by any cheap labor. I have managed to bring the project as costed back in budget, which makes it viable. The obvious choice for that would have been to have cut my losses right now and not do it because it could not fly. We would have lost more than we have invested already.
Bottom line consideration. Madonna, is the playing field level?
No, the playing field is not level. Because you have to understand that the Grenadian workers, they have to pay the taxes, they have to pay the NIS, they have to pay the NRL. The construction company, they have to make a little profit just as well. I mean, you wouldn't, I mean, it's a business for them. And as such, the Chinese bidding will be much lower because why? The Chinese labor is cheaper labor. You wouldn't get, I'm sure, that none of the workers here will be paid, say, $80 or $70 per day because you have to remember they are working for the state of China. And as such, the playing field can never be level.
Barbados, there was a similar problem in Barbados, and let's talk about the Barbados experience because it seemed to be handled, they handled it a little bit differently. And I believe there's a protocol in Barbados now set by the Barbados government to attempt to level the playing field. It tells me that the playing field is not level. Should we be doing something similar in Grenada, Andrew, from where you sit?
I cannot dictate government policy, Brian. From where I sit, what I want to say is this, is that with regard to Grand Harbour, my position is that we are not hitting a windfall, okay? What I am saying to you is this, that workers are not involved when I have a costing on doors. Doors from Grand Harbour, the first costing that we were given, coming in at $6,327,521 on doors. Notwithstanding what has been said, that there's no negotiation and we were told on this day that that was it. Not true, because there was an extended negotiation, several quotations, and you're not giving me time to give you all the dates. But I want to say to you that
information,
please, I want to finish.
Hold on. That is some detail in a contract that I really don't want to get involved in because that
but it's fundamental to the point.
It might be fundamental to the point, Andrew, but we're talking about a level playing field here. And I have a dangerous feeling that if this public debate continues, this matter might very well end up in court.
I don't see it going there.
Okay.
Right. No.
But let's talk about the level playing field.
Okay, might I please just address that? This will not end in court for the simple reason that there is a clear-cut memorandum of understanding that lays out certain responsibilities and attaches penalties to me, which penalties I'm willing, ready, and able to pay as fast as possible, So that should not end in court. Now, it will not end in court because I will stand my end of the bargain. What has happened to this is that we have ended in the court of public opinion. And what is being said in the court of public opinion, that this has to do with labor, and it does not. I am telling you, sir, please, if I may, that those that were initially 6 million installed were 7,881,000.
Let's look at the court of public.
After a value engineering exercise, those doors and the engineering exercise came down to 1,041,000, a saving of 3,181,000. That had nothing to do with workers. Those doors are made in Trinidad.